In the coming week, we're going to have our brains scrubbed again on the myth of the Hurricane Katrina hitting the New Orleans. We have to get a few things straight. They're going to be telling all sorts of disinformation, misinformation, and just come smelling like a rose. But this is all you need to know about what happened that night. First of all, let's get something straight. A levee, look at the triangle. This is a cross-section of two levees that are holding a river from spilling over its banks. That's what a levee is. It holds a river back. A canal, this is a cross-section of a canal, doesn't have that same shape of a triangle. And it is man-made. It's a narrow, man-made thing that's maybe only 10 feet wide. You know, this was all solid land before, but it's like a shortcut, or it may be used for recreation, to park your recreation boats or whatever. But it's all man-made to do. Now, they are what to watch for is they are calling canals levees. You know, that's like calling it a dam. And that's not what it is at all. But this is all part of the game. Somebody, years ago, figured out they could get this valuable land flooded. All they had to do was blow up a section right here, and this would cause the lake to slowly flood the whole, you know, it would move the lake from here down and cover up the lower Ninth Ward area where all these black people had been living for years, and they owned the land, and it was granted to them by some sort of deed, so that they would always they would be close to, you know, they would be working for the rich folks on higher land. This is lower land, of course. And here's the Mississippi River. Okay? So you can see what the plan is. Blow up one side of the canal, which causes all the lake to be sucked in and emptied into and fill the lower Ninth. Well, this is what happened. The hurricane was only, by the time that it reached New Orleans, it was only a Cat 1. It was a Cat 2, maybe 3 when it hit the first made landfall, but that's quite a ways from New Orleans. And, you know, it's all just marshes. And but anyway, at 4 a.m., bombs were heard. Several bombs went off here. And there were some witnesses. But I am sure most of the witnesses were asleep in their beds because the storm had come and gone, and they were safe and sound. But this water came in and flooded very rapidly, and I'm sure many people near the opening of this breach were killed and were drowned right in their bed. They never had a chance to escape to the attic or anything else like that. But they calculated the width. I know they did. They calculated the width of the opening that would be the best way to keep that water just pouring in and have plenty of weight to pull it down. And so they could go ahead, you know, the carpetbaggers could reclaim all this land again. Now, I want to say something about Dick Cheney. Okay, they started after 4 a.m. that it came daylight and you could see what had happened. But they wanted to distract people's attention away from this sabotage by blowing up levees here and there, up and down the Mississippi. Those are real levees, you remember? These are to hold back the rivers from overflowing their banks. So they wanted to have something for show and tell, shock and awe. Meanwhile, the lake is being slowly emptied and moving over to the lower ninth. That's what you need to know. Now, what does Dick Cheney have to do with this? Well, the oil fields all lost its power, because there is oil storage tanks all up and down here. And not having electricity, it shut off couldn't deliver the oil. And so Cheney said, you get me electricity in 24 hours or not, or it's your head. Meanwhile, nobody could get any electricity down here. Couldn't get it to be pumped, because electricity, you need a pump to start pumping out the water. And I suspect that even today, now 5 years later, there's no electricity. The electricity was deliberately delayed so that people could not pump out the water, that they could not start rebuilding, couldn't use power tools. When this happened, I cried. I knew what had happened. They announced it once on the radio early in the morning that there were bombs heard here, and then never again was the 17th Street Bridge ever mentioned again. So that's all you need to know about Katrina.